With just over a week to go before the 2025 ends, we take a look back at the stories that made the headlines this year. And of course, join us tonight for this conversation is, well, they call him the international man of mystery. I prefer to call him our resident political insider or our resident political heckler, Mr. Ronald Llamas. I'm sorry, it says the Grinch on the prompter. Ronald, thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ed and Pauline. Kayo pala naiwan sa salt mines, no?
Tayo.
And then, salt mine yan sa bahay siya. Ganda-ganda ng background niya.
Ika-apat ko na ito for the day. So, parang walang Pasko.
Aba, pang-apat na niya. Anyway, Bok, to begin with, Merry Christmas and thank you for joining us. But, I don't know if anybody expected 2025 to be this jam-packed with stories. And these are not just plain stories, these are earth-moving, earth-shaking stories for the country. Okay, let me run through them very quickly. You had, of course, the impeachment of Sara Duterte, the Duterte arrest, the elections. I know it's only midterm, but still the elections where the administration lost big time. The flood control projects, the almost withdrawal of support ng military as reported by Manny Mogato and of course a source from our political insider. And what happened with Catalina Cabral. Did we expect something like this year? And what are we looking at for next year?
Well, there were indications that this will be a turbulent year because of what happened last year. Kung maalala nyo, last year ay sumabog yung existential battle between
the UNITEAM.
Members of the UNITEAM, the Marcoses and the Dutertes, who were able to get the highest margin of victory in any election in our history in 2022. And yet, in the last year, nakita natin na the battle was a battle for survival, a battle for their very existence, their very mortality. Kaya nung sumabog yan, especially dun sa confidential fund ng presidente, especially dun sa mga attempts to bring down the government as early as 2024, kung saan any threat available ay binato sa sitting president nung pamilya at kaalyado nung Vice President, then malinaw naman, may indications that it could get much worse. And it did. Nung nagsimula yung taon na we were confronted with the biggest budget scandal in our history, involving not only millions, katulad sa Bacones, kung hindi billions in insertions into not only substandard projects, kung hindi mga ghost projects. At isang departamento pa lang yan. At noong February, ay nakita natin yung first impeachment of a vice president sa ating kasaysayan. At noong March, yung first time na isang former president ay kinasuhan ng Crimes Against Humanities, ICC, at dinala siya ron with the help of our government na kaalyado nila dati, no? And then after niyan, yung midterm election, no? Na for the second time in modern Philippine history, natalo yung administration. Usually kasi yung administration pinakamalakas sila during the midterm.
Okay.
Especially dito sa gobyerno, na nakakuha ng historic margin of victory than any president sa ating kasaysayan. So talagang sabi mo nga, Ed, ang daming nangyari. Hindi pa na natapos yung taon, nangyari pa itong panaw ni Cabral. At nangyari pa itong bakbakan sa BICAM na may threat pa nga na magkaroon ng reenacted budget. So hindi pa tapos yung taon, magbobotohan pa sa 29. Whether yung budget na inapprove ng BICAM ay matutuloy o magkakaroon tayo ng reenacted budget. So hindi matapos yung drama, hindi matapos yung controversy sa taong ito.
But I suppose the big question for a lot of people, considering what happened this year, ano kaya next year? Kasi, di ba, by February 7, tapos na yung one-year ban on the impeachment filings against the VP. Di ba? And then you also have the threat of an impeachment against the president. And of course, you have yung walang kamatayang bangga ng dalawang dating haligi ng unit team. And that's 2 years before the 2028 election. So with all that, if this year was crazy, what do we expect for next year?
Halimbawa, itong nabanggit mo, yung impeachment. Well, may mga nagpaplano ng mag-refile ng impeachment after ng one-year ban. Pero hindi ganun kadali ang impeachment ngayon dahil nga nabago yung rules because of the Supreme Court decision on the impeachment of the Vice President this year. Kaya hindi ka siya ganun kadali. Mas uphill ngayon ang impeachment because of the decision of the Supreme Court. Na hanggang ngayon, wala pa rin sagot.
Wala pang desisyon, yung MR.
Doon sa motion for reconsideration. No? Ikalawa ay, siyempre, mababa, historic low, yung approval rating ng presidente. At yung impeachment na yan, katulad nung nangyari last year, ay merong direct or indirect support ng presidente. Pero dahil record high ang kanyang pagbaba ng kanyang record low ang pagbaba ng kanyang approval rating, marami ang mag-hesitate. Marami mag-hesitate. No? At ikatlo, palapit na ng palapit sa eleksyon. 2028. No? Practically, sa 2027, simula na ng kampanya. No? Simula na. So, hindi ganun kadali. Mas ang inaasahan ko, yung ombudsman na meron nakasala ngayon na plunder case against the Vice President. Kahit hindi siya matanggal sa posisyon, pwede siyang makasuhan dahil hindi naman siya immune from suit. So, ang pwede mangyari yan ay mabuksan yung kanyang bank accounts at mapatunayan kung totoo ba yung sinasabi ni Senator Trillanes na yung kanyang bank accounts ay puno ng hundreds of millions galing sa mga drug lords, pogo lords at iba't ibang lords. No? So, yun yung isang pwede mangyari sa pamamagitan ng ombudsman. No? At iba pa ng mga ebidensya na hindi lumabas doon sa Senado dahil nga na unsyame yung impeachment dahil sa desisyon ng Supreme Court. No? So, tingin ko mas less yung possibility ng impeachment pero mas malaki yung possibility na yung hindi makikitang ebidensya sa impeachment ay lalabas sa pamamagitan ng ombudsman.
But Ronald, where does this leave President Bongbong Marcos and his administration? I mean, there are only 2 years left before 2028. And let's zero in on that flood control probe, no? Because the president sort of used this as an inoculation in order to improve his trust ratings, his numbers, his approval. But was he successful in doing that? And how this whole probe and scandal has unfolded?
Well, kung titignan natin yung mga surveys, not yet. Siya pa rin yung biniblame para dito sa corruption scandal na ito. Kahit siya mismo yung naglunsad nung mahiya ka naman campaign, yung isumbong mo sa Pangulo at nagpangalan dun sa 15 biggest contractors. So hindi pa niya naihiwalay yung sarili niya dun sa charges ng corruption sa kanyang gobyerno. Lalo na, medyo na-involve yung mga malalapit sa kanya. It's the first time in my 40 years in politics na nakakita ako na yung Senate President at yung Speaker of the House ay halos sabay natanggal. No? Yung kasunod nila, yung pinakamalapit sa Presidente, yung Executive Secretary at yung Budget Secretary ay natanggal dahil daw na-link sa corruption. No? So, tingin ko, next year it will get worse before it gets better. No? Of course, sinusubukang ayusin nung kanyang mga communication team yung kanyang narrative at yung kanyang messaging. Na nitong nakaraang 3 taon, left much to be desired. Ito rin yung first time na nakakita ako na yung isang gobyerno nagpalit ng communications head 5 times in 3 years. So ibig sabihin, talaga may problema sila sa communication. Isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit bumabagsak yung kanyang approval ratings.
Pero Ronald, tingin mo ba nakatulong itong mga vlog ni President Bongbong Marcos where he has pronouncements na ako ang nagsimula nito, ako rin ang magtatapos nito? Parang ang criticism din ng iba, no? Mala reporter na rin ito si Presidente announcing the arrest warrants of all these people involved sa flood control scandal.
Tingin ko in the scheme of things, mas makakatulong yan kaysa sa tahimik siya. Mas makakatulong yan kaysa yung kanyang mga spokesperson na may hina in the past ang magsasalita. No? Kaya ngayon, isa kasing banat sa kanya ay weak leader, indecisive, no? At saka tentative. At least dun sa kanyang mga ginagawa ngayon, pinapakita niya na hindi. Whether makaka-apekto yan sa kanyang saging approval ratings, I'm not too sure. Ang mas makakatulong sa kanya ay kung mayroong makukulong na mga big fish. Kung mayroong makukulong na mga kongresista, senador, cabinet secretary, then tingin ko yun makakatulong sa kanya. Pero yung pinakamalaking millstone sa kanyang leeg ay hindi lang itong corruption issues, the economy. Sabi nga ni Clinton, it's the economy, stupid. So itong parating na taon, mukhang hindi maganda yung prospects para sa ating ekonomiya. Mismo yung growth targets natin ang sinasabi ng mga ekonomista, baka bumaba pa sa 3.8. Way below yung kanilang sariling targets. At kung ganyan kababa, ay lalo na naglalabasan na yung mga investor. Habang walang bago na pumapasok, maraming tatamaan dyan. Standard of living, yung value ng peso, no, yung ating credit stature, no, etc. etc. So, kailangan talaga nila ng decisive moves para ma-mitigate yung unraveling ng ating economy. Lalo na, early next year, ubos na yung pera ng mga tao, 13th month, 14th month pay. Kayo ba may 14th month yan? No?
Sasagutin mo natin yun.
Sama na loob ng mga tao. Tataas ang presyo ng bilihin, hindi naman tataas yung halaga ng kanilang piso, pababa pa nga. No? Tapos yung growth rates natin ay pababa. So, yun yung tingin kong elephant in the room next year. Sa gitna nitong corruption scandals at iba pang mga existential issues laban sa gobyerno, ay itong economy ang pinakamalaki.
Well, Ronald, balikan ko lang ng konti. Let me back up a bit dun sa the political issues, in particular yung impeachment. I was looking at ano yung basis for everybody's belief na the president down the line, the impeachable officials, are immune from suit. It turns out it is not in any statute. It is only by jurisprudence. The last statute that had any mention of immunity from suit was in the 1973 Constitution, which of course was replaced by 87, which no longer carried the same provision that the president down the line are immune from suit. In other words, what I'm saying is this, when it comes to that, yung plunder case versus VP Sara, then masusubukan kung ano ang magiging interpretasyon ng Supreme Court kung ang Vice Presidente ay maaari bang sampahan ng kasong kriminal at maaari bang pagulungin yung kasong yan at hanggang saan. So that will be interesting for next year.
Yes. Ang sinasabi ko lang naman, as far as the ombudsman is concerned, mukhang yung una kong sinabi ang kanyang ginagamit na hindi immune ang presidente from suit. The very fact na tinanggap niya yung plunder case. At tingin ko, soon, ay gagamitin niya ito para buksan yung mga bank accounts ng Vice President. Ngayon, kung ito ay mahabol sa Supreme Court, tingin ko it might take some time. No? Halimbawa, yung impeachment, nakailang buwan yun? 4 na buwan?
Okay, mahaba na
Supreme Court. So marami na yung pwedeng mangyari in 1-2 months. No? Kung magpo-prosper itong plunder case. Habang meron siguro magpa-file sa Supreme Court to test kung siya ay immune ba talaga from suit o hindi.
Well, the other thing is this napangakuan ng taong bayan na may makukulong na big fish. Pagkakasaya pa nga, if I remember correctly, congressman ng senador, di ba? Legislator dapat makukulong bago magpasko. Pero
Meron ko lang 3 oras.
Tingin mo habol pa. Ikaw naman.
Sabi ko patient
Anong time zone ka ba? Pero di ba, but that was a promise eh, and I suppose that people were latched onto that promise eh. Well, of course, people are also very, very forgiving. You might call them resilient. Pero, you know, how far up the line do you think people expect the accountability to get?
Tingin ko, baka, sabi mo nga, baka magpasensya pa o magpatawad pa yung mga tao dahil Pasko. Pero tingin ko early next year, baka mahirapan na sila magpatawad. No? Yung impatience nila ay makikita natin sa next February EDSA celebration. Kung wala pa rin na nangyayari dito sa mga makakasuhan at makukulong, halimbawa, sabi ni John Vic Remulla kanina, baka by June lahat yan ay makasuhan na. Oops!
By June? By June?
Baka,
That's half a year from now.
Baka walang ganun pasensya yung mga tao. No? Kahit pagpalagay na lahat makakasuhan by June, kailangan may makulong na sa January. Kailangan may makulong na sa February ng mga big fish. No? Or else, tingin ko, pagdating ng EDSA celebration, it will be a massive, no? A massive protest dito sa usapin ng corruption at babalingan ng mga protesters again yung gobyerno.
Well, speaking of the sentiments of the people, Ronald, there was that survey by WR Numero which indicated that 46% of Filipinos are supportive, pero meron yung undecided, and it's a significant number at 24%. What do you think is fueling that number, that part of the population? And ano na ba ang sentiment talaga ng mga tao? Because it's been months already since this flood control probe started. Marami nang nangyari, although wala pa ring nakukulong. And yet we are about to start a new year also. So how would you gauge the sentiment right now of the people?
Well, siguro yung undecided ay tinitignan pa nila kung madi-deliver ng gobyerno yung kanilang promisa. Dahil nangyari naman yung WR Numero survey a month ago, more than a month ago. So, siguro binibigyan pa nila ng benefit of the doubt nung nangyari yung survey na yan. Kung meron nga ba talaga makakasuhan. No? Kaya undecided pa sila. Pero going into next year, ay yung undecided na yan, baka hindi na undecided. No? Either way.
Bok, pahabol na ako before we let you go. I'm not sure exactly how to word this question, pero let me try it anyway. This year, we had all the indications of intense rumbling within the military and all this talk about what could have happened, which would include yung withdrawal of support, transition council, civil-military junta, and so on down the line. All these were distinct possibilities because of the growing displeasure and disenchantment with the corruption problem in the Philippines. What are we looking at as far as that is concerned in 2026?
Tingin ko this year ay naging safe yung gobyerno. Sabi nga ni Marcoleta kay Jinggoy. Dahil medyo nagbago yung tono ng Iglesia ni Cristo. Who has the capacity to mobilize huge number of people against the government. Nagbago yung tono nila. Ikalawa, the Catholic Church remained firm na hindi sila sasang-ayon sa any extra-constitutional attempt to create a military junta or a revolutionary government. Habang ini-scale up nila yung kanilang criticism sa gobyerno tungkol sa massive corruption. Ikatlo, nag-toe ng line o nag-hold ng line yung military na hindi sila magiging partisan at they will stick to the constitutional parameters dito sa mga nangyayari. No? So yun yung kanilang posisyon. At ikaapat, yung nabanggit natin kanina, na perhaps a significant section of the population, binibigyan ng leeway yung gobyerno din, no? Para ipakita na seryoso sila dito sa pagsampa ng kaso, pagpapakulong, at pagbawi ng kayamanan na ninakaw. Next year, pwede magbago yan. No? Dahil the crisis remains. The threat against the government, destabilization, etc., nawala for a while. Pero the crisis, the political and economic crisis remain. And it will get possibly worse next year kung walang gagawin ng gobyerno sa usapin ng ekonomiya at sa usapin ng anti-corruption. Kaya it can change overnight. Alam mo naman sa Pilipinas, with very weak institutions, things like this can unravel very fast.
Okay, talking to you is always very unsettling. Okay, maraming Christmas Eve.
Pinag-uusapan niyo, masyadong seryoso. Kumaya kayo sa safe house. Ang pinag-uusapan lang, pagkain.
Noche buena ng pagkain, di ba? Okay, okay, maraming salamat. Ronald Llamas, our resident political insider. Thank you for joining us.